Be water, my friend. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. You're probably familiar with this poem that is the philosophy of water and that the late and great Chinese icon Bruce Lee believed in. Like Lee, I also subscribe to this school of thought because we are all like water. We can flow freely in life or we can crash and be destroyed. Ni hao, my name is Stephon Marbury. For those of you who do not know me, I am a former NBA and CBA player, entrepreneur, philanthropist, current CBA head coach, and an eternal student of life. I was hesitant about coming here today to do this TED Talk. I was unsure because I thought you might think it odd that I, a native of the West, I am from the United States of America, will come to speak with you about the philosophy of a legend from the Far East. I said to myself, they may question how a foreigner could understand the character traits of the people of China. Well, I think living here for approximately 10 years, embracing the Chinese culture and its people, learning to understand and speak the native language a tiny bit, as well as becoming an honorary citizen of Beijing, allows me to speak with authority just a little about who the Chinese people are. Let me first thank you. I thank you for sharing this moment and time with me, as it's my honor and pleasure to be here with you today. Today, I want to speak about the spirit of sports and the right way to win. I learned a wealth of knowledge and gained a lot of wisdom about these very topics during my professional basketball career, which spans more than 40 years on 2 continents and 2 distinct cultures prominent in the western and eastern parts of the world. Before I came here, many in China considered me the lone wolf, based on the media's perception of me, even though my NBA stats were stellar. Over the 13 years I played in the NBA, I averaged nearly 20 points and 8 assists per game, which is difficult to do. Still, my stats were not the most important thing to me when I played. I wanted to win. Yet, I gained a reputation as a ball hog, being difficult and hard to get along with my teammates because of the way I conducted myself in trying to win. I was so focused on winning because I know in the world of basketball, winning is usually the only criterion to receiving positive recognition. For you to understand who I am today, you must learn about my humble yet hard beginnings. I grew up on the tough streets of Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York. Life was challenging for my family and me. We lived in the Surfside Garden housing projects surrounded by some of the worst New York City has to offer. That is why I was determined to make it to the NBA. I wanted to get my family out of the projects where drugs, guns, and crime ran rampant. I spent countless hours and nights, even on school days, honing my basketball skills as a point guard on the court we called the Garden. We called it the Garden because we all imagined ourselves playing for our hometown basketball team, the New York Knicks, on their home court, the world-famous Madison Square Garden. When I played at the neighborhood garden, I usually drew a crowd, the young, the old, and young at heart, including the local drug dealers, would come and watch me play. They would even challenge me on the basketball court because I was so skilled in basketball for my age. I was what some would call a basketball protege. I was advanced because my oldest brother, Eric, drilled in the heads of my three brothers and me that our bodies had to operate like machines if we wanted to make it and dominate in the NBA. Don, my next to oldest brother, would also tell me, "Son B, people have to know you by your first name when you step onto the basketball court. That is how you know they know you, you can play, and that they respect you." I was known and well respected around the country even before I became a teenager. At 12 years old, a top American sports magazine ranked me the best sixth grader in the nation. Out of all the millions of sixth graders in America, in many parts of the world, I was declared the best basketball player. So at the tender age of 12, I believed I was the best, and I always believed I would win. If my 19-year-old self were talking to you today, I would say, I play basketball because I love the game. In retrospect, I realized I was not driven by my love for the game, but my will to win, to gain praise and recognition, and to get my family out of Coney Island. Receiving fame and accolades began to spoil me. I became blinded by the limelight of being a top-ranked basketball star that actually lost myself. I let an 8-pound object take control of my life. You see, no one had ever taught me how to succeed in this type of real-life situation. And I was too young to realize back then that winning on the basketball court requires one to first foster and cultivate relationships off the court. The fixation of winning consumed me. I was consumed so much by winning that I became obsessed with it. But the more I tried to win, especially in the NBA, the further away from winning I found myself and from my teammates. Eventually, I crashed like a tank of water and hit a brick wall, splat. Being in that headspace forced me to ask myself, what's wrong with me? Am I really what they say about me? A lone wolf? Was I born this way, difficult and hard to get along with others, including my teammates? Let me be the first to say, I am not perfect. I have made mistakes, but I have also taken responsibility for my actions. Honestly, I believe you have not lived a full and rich life unless you have made a mistake and have at least one regret. Still, I did not buy into that narrative that I was a lone wolf, a selfish player. A leader, yes, but someone who thinks only of himself, no. If you know anything about wolves, you know they are aggressive. These creatures do not scare easily, nor do they flinch at the sight of trouble or danger. Wolves are part of a pack. They live and stay together, and each one of these fierce species can rise to any occasion. Comparing myself to a wolf, I think the leadership part of me was once asleep, dormant because of my sole pursuit to win. My take-charge personality was just waiting for the right time to activate. Winning in the NBA on the championship level eluded me, unfortunately. The NBA and I were on bad terms when I last played in the American League in 2009. We have since made amends. Looking back, I think my NBA playing days were bittersweet. I accomplished a few milestones, but they were overshadowed by setbacks, which led to heartache and growing pains for me. I was lost and had lost myself while playing in the NBA. But what a difference a constant move can make. For about 1 month, I contemplated if I should go to China. My dad had passed away not long before. I probably would not have come here had my dad been alive. Anyway, I decided to come after praying and talking to my mom, we call Queen Mabel. She said, "Stephon, China is far, but God, He's everywhere. And whatever you think is best for your life, I'm going to support you. You only get one life, and I just want you to be happy." That's what my mom said. I was not happy then playing in the NBA, so I left. I boarded an international flight for a more than 7,000-mile journey to go to a place that I knew nothing about, or no one, except for a small group of people who worked to get me to come to the People's Republic of China. The few things I knew about China was it was far from the US, I had heard about the Great Wall, and I knew about Yao Ming because the Houston Rockets had drafted him #1 in the 2002 NBA draft. That was it. I grew up in New York City where there's a large Chinese population in Chinatown. Still, I knew very little about the Chinese people, their philosophy, and culture. That got me to wondering, how would the people in China treat me once I got there? I had a lot of time to think about that answer since my flight from New York to China was more than 13 hours. When my flight landed and I stepped foot on China soil, love welcomed me here. Let me say that again. I was greeted with love by thousands of people from China. To my pleasant surprise, they smiled at me and held up signs stating, "Welcome to China." That made me feel like the Chinese people would love me as one of their own. My mother always says, there are some things in life you want, and then there are some things you need. I needed to feel love at that exact moment, and you all made me feel that way when I needed love the most. Because of that, I will forever be grateful to the people of China. China, you have won my heart. This type of love was so crucial to my existence. Crucial because it helped me to rebuild and redeem my life and myself. I first came to China to play basketball in the CBA, into a place more than 300 million people play the game of basketball I now love. That many people is more than all the people in America. I initially considered staying in China for just a few years, max. But the love the Chinese people have showered me with, has convinced me to stay and make China my second home. When I first came here, I played in Shanxi. Then I played for 1 year in Foshan. Afterwards, I went to Beijing, where I played for both hometown teams, the Beijing Ducks and the Beijing Royal Fighters. The Royal Fighters is the team I ended my professional basketball career with 20-something years after I had begun playing professional basketball. Now I'm the head coach for the Royal Fighters. Beforehand, I played for the Beijing Ducks and led the Ducks to 3 CBA championships. We made CBA history after I learned how to win and how to adjust my basketball game to play in the CBA. But they have a hard time accepting the result of losing. Everyone loves a winner. The way you win and how you get along with your teammates on the road to victory over even defeat is equally as important because people will remember you for that. I remember the second year I played for the Beijing Ducks. We went to the Final Four round during the CBA season, but failed to defend our title as Shandong swept us. The loss prompted flashbacks about the time losing was a staple in my life. All I kept thinking about was, what will our fans say? How would they treat us since we were eliminated from the playoffs? I didn't have to wait long for my answer. When we arrived back in Beijing, so many excited fans were at the railway station, waiting to greet us. I still remember what the fans said to me. We win together as a team and lose together as a team. That is what our fans kept shouting. We call those type of fans ride or die fans. That is because they are faithful, loyal to the end. This once again brings me to Bruce Lee's philosophy of water and the people of China who are like fluid water, at least to me. I noticed I began to adapt to my environment and grow when I began to trust God and apply Lee's way of thinking to my life. When I feel stressed, I reflect on the philosophy of water, which helps me to gain inner strength. I also pray and ask God for guidance because I know that God has got miracles on me. After I retired from the CBA as a professional basketball player, I still had a desire to help my team win. However, this time I wanted to assist in another way. The Beijing Royal Fighters offered me a leadership role 2 years ago, making me a rookie coach for the Beijing Royal Fighters. Today I have a new dream. That dream includes helping to bring another CBA championship to the city of Beijing. Now that would be awesome. I was so excited when I landed my first head coaching job. However, what I quickly realized is landing a job and being successful could be distinctly different. Like all rookie coaches, I have faced my share of challenges. The only way to win is to fight, and the front office knows I will fight to the end to give our team the best chance at winning. This is no easy task because I am in the midst of transforming and growing as a head coach. As an old and traditional Chinese saying goes, after surviving innumerable trials and hardships, the bond between a people is bound to become stronger. To win in the CBA, you must put in hard work and be willing to learn. If you ask me how to win a CBA championship, I would tell you the first thing you must do is not focus on yourself. Focus on what matters most, and that is building a strong relationship with your teammates. You also need to see your teammates as your family, and they need to see you in the same way. It is equally vital that you learn and know when to be a guiding force to help your teammates grow and help build them in their confidence. What is just as important is learning to accept constructive criticism. Why does the spirit of sports persist and stand tall in this world? For the spirit can always contain the most important energy that motivates us through hardship and struggle. A team that faces adversaries together can only become victorious when its members are inclusive, collaborate, and learn to think and become one. Being on and becoming a winning team is not some random thought you consider and constantly chase after in your mind. Winning as a team is the result of concerted and collective efforts over time that you and your teammates have harvested. So be water, my friend. This is what winning in life, including sports, requires of you and what will always suggest that you do. Share.